Anybody know what revelation means? Just for the
Reveal.
side note. Huh?
To reveal.
To reveal.
Okay.
It's very important because we went into Revelation in the four horsemen, Revelation chapter 5. Christ had to be found worthy to take the scroll and reveal what we're reading now and give understanding. This is why a lot of people can't understand this, because the Most High got to open up your understanding first via the Spirit that He sends. So Most High is very, I don't want to say the word stingy, but He's stingy with the people He uses to teach His word for a reason. But people, they use this book and they wrestle with the understanding to their own what? Destruction. See, but you got to come with the right understanding, having the right spirit, the right intentions. Okay, you got to know what people are supposed to expound in this book. Okay, then this is why it's very important. You got a lot of pastors that try to dive in Revelation, they just not hitting the mark. They still think that this is still sealed because they're following that 7-year dispensationalism with the rapture.
I was gonna ask why they say that. Like, it doesn't make sense if you have understandings in different parts of the book. How is that one part closed? Just
Right.
because you can't understand it.
Right. You know, because they really don't understand the scriptures in general. So we're gonna go over this thing. That heat pinging right now.
Right.
Pinging more people. Pinging like it's
Ping,
a club.
ping, ping.
Yo, I'll be like,
Ping, ping, ping.
ping.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom. You gotta speak up.
Look at the mic.
Yeah, but get the mic. Get the mic. And then we'll go right to 50.
The seals is now open for the understanding to come now.
Yeah, the vision. Daniel chapter 12.
Daniel 12.
Daniel 12.
4, 12, and 24.
Daniel 12 and 4. You want to read that? You got to speak up. Yeah, get the mic going first. Daniel 12. We'll get some books in the pocket. And those that are in the live, you can feel free to ask questions as well. Huh? No. You ready? Go ahead, read that. Daniel 12 and 4.
This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
So shut up the words that are in the book until the time of the end. So we in the time of the end. Okay, concerning the book of Daniel. Okay, the time of the end started when?
After the death of the apostles.
And all men died. And the abomination of desolation that's written of in Daniel. How do we know that? Matthew chapter 24, verse 5. To get the dispensationalism correct. Shalom, King. No, start from verse 5. Start from verse 5.
This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am
Now,
Christ.
start from verse 4.
Start
Start 3.
This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So it said, what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Understanding the context of what Christ was talking about, of what the disciples were talking about. He was talking about the end of the civilization of the Israelites when the temple was destroyed. That's the end of the world. Okay, that's what it's talking about. All right. So we jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
So we see that happening. Okay, let's jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand.
So the abomination of desolation, written in Daniel, had to be fulfilled. If you actually go into that history, they had sex on the Most High's altar. Okay, them filthy heathen. That was abominable. We read in Maccabees that they were sacrificing swine on the Most High's altar. Okay, so that's the abomination of desolation written of unto desolation written of in Daniel. Desolation means the temple was destroyed, our city was destroyed, and we fled in the different compartments of Africa and the other places of the Jews where we hid from Roman persecution. Okay, let's go to Daniel 8 verse 23, and then we're gonna rise and face the east.
This is Daniel chapter 8 and verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
So Israel, we are the transgressors because we broke the Most High's laws. That king of fierce countenance that stood up were the Romans and the Greeks, the Greco-Roman Empire. We're going to go into that in Revelation. Okay, we got to understand, okay, who desolated the Most High's temple and the sanctuary, things of that nature. Okay, verse 24.
Verse 24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and he shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people.
So he destroyed the mighty and holy people. He prospered and he practiced. That's that knowledge to and fro. He practiced. That's his sorcery. Okay. So all the way up into the kingdom till now, that's him prospering in his witchcraft and practicing. Verse 25.
Verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
That craft is his witchcraft. And by his policy, His policy meaning he would be the official over his laws. Okay, where you even get the word police from. Okay, that's how he's prospering by his laws. Okay, go ahead.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
And by peace treaties destroy many. Alliances destroy many. Many. A covenant breaker, a truce breaker, the scripture said. Okay? So it says, he shall magnify himself in his heart. We know who that is, according to Obadiah, when Esau or Edom said that his pride, it speaks of his pride, excuse me. Right? Go ahead.
And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, who shall be broken without head.
So when it says, he shall stand up against the prince of princes, who is that? Shah. And so what they're doing right now is they're trying to fight. Trying to fight against the Most High. Okay, now go verse 26.
Verse 26. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which was told, is true. Wherefore, shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days.
So that vision was shut up because it took the dispensation of time for that to happen. And it began with the desolation. Then revelation appears. Shortly after that, from John, the revelator, the apostle, whom YHWH loved. Okay? And then we have this vision we call the revealing or revelation. All right?
So rise and face the east. This is Mark chapter 12 and verse 29. Christ answered them and said, the first of all commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Shema Yasharahla, Yahweh AHLAHAYANAWA, Yahweh ACHAAD, Aman.
All praises. So let's get right into it. We got it. Let's start right from verse. We in Revelation chapter 20. Let's start at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand.
So there was an angel that had a key to the bottomless pit. We all know what the bottomless pit is, right? The bottomless pit is Europe, the Caucasus Mountains, all where the white man came from when he was considered a serf or a Slav during the times of the Dark Ages, when Jacob ruled Europe. Okay, we're going to get into that even in more depth. Okay, verse 2.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil, and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
So the scriptures say, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent. So we have the dragon, the old serpent. Where's the old serpent found? From the book of Genesis. Somebody pull that out. Get the mic. So, yeah. Go to when the serpent spoke to Eve in the book of Genesis, chapter 3. I need to oh, you good, you good. No, you good. Go ahead, bro. Just if y'all need to speak, just pass the mic. Go ahead. Yeah.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made.
So when it says the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, we got to understand this, that the Bible is speaking in a parable. Okay? The beast of the field represents the nations. The ancient Babylonian Empire was likened unto a lion with wings, which was the griffin that they worshiped. Then you had the bear, which was Medo-Persia. You had the leopard, which was Greece or Macedonian Empire. And you had the eagle, okay, which is Rome, right? So these are all beasts of the field. The field is not a literal field. The field is a representation of the industries of the earth, okay? The industrious earth where man was tilling the ground. And each was represented by beasts. Okay, go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, as God said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden.
Now, who is the woman in representation of? Israel. Because did not, who's this whole thing about? Esau and Jacob, right? When the white man came to the Native Americans, they said that he was double-tongued, right? He said, oh, you know, this Christian stuff's not going to hurt you. Then our people started to conform to his ways. It's no different than what happened in the garden. This is all parable. Okay, go ahead. But it did work through the woman, the weaker vessel. But go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, as God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
So, what was this fruit that if we were to eat or consume of it, we died from? What tree was that? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. So when it says knowledge shall increase, what do you think that is according to Daniel? That means all the devices that entered into this world that have disrupted the creation of God is leading to our destruction. Because by way of that knowledge, by way of that science, is evil. Okay? That's his craft prospering. But he couldn't prosper with you in the way, because you possess what? The laws, statutes, and commandments of God. So let's jump up to the second verse. I want to see if brothers know what this is talking about. Go ahead. Go back to the second verse.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 2. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
So what fruit is this talking about? What tree?
The association of being amongst your own people.
Well, yeah, that's a good one. Being set apart. The tree of life. Tree of life. Proverbs 11, verse 30. Come on now.
This is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is the tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise.
The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. That's what the tree of life is. The fruit of the righteous. The sons of Adam were the sons of God. Around them were other nations that the Most High created. Cain represented what we could call prototype Esau. His lineage, okay, were the ones that we warred against in the garden, who was likened unto that serpent. Okay? Everybody getting it? So let's go really quick to Revelation 22, verse 1. Revelation 22 and 1.
This is Revelation chapter 22 and verse 1. And he shewed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal.
So that pure river and water of life, clear as crystal, When the scripture said that New Jerusalem came out of the sky like crystal, that's in representation of the church that will bring forth wisdom and do what?
Teach the nations.
Teach the nations for the healing of the nations,
Right.
by our laws, right? That's the river of life. When Christ said, he that speaketh on me, as scripture hath said, out of him shall come rivers of living water. So that's living water when we teach the nations after we subject them.
I got a precept out of one.
Go ahead, King.
This is Ezekiel chapter 47 and verse 8. Then said he unto me, these waters issue out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed.
So the water shall be healed is a representation of the nations. Okay. Let's go back to Revelation 22.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 1. And he shewed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb.
Yeah.
And in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there a tree of life.
So the street of it is just representing our capital policy, our law, our government. Okay.
Got another
Hold on,
precept.
hold on. Let me finish this really quick.
Come.
Which bare 12 manners of fruits, and yielded her fruit.
Start from the top because I wanted to expound on that tree of life.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 2. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life.
So on either side of the river was a tree of life. What does Psalms 1 and 1 say?
Blessed are the righteous, so they can inherit the.
Let's get it. Just go to the scripture. It's that simple.
This is Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Keep reading.
But his delight is in the law of the Lord.
His delight is in what?
Is in the law of the Lord.
His delight is in the law of the Lord. Go ahead.
And in his law doth he meditate day and night.
Go ahead.
And he shall be like a tree.
He shall be like a what?
Be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
So understand that this contextually in Revelation chapter 22 is talking about those who are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and promised the inheritance that came through Abraham and rulership with Christ. Okay? Teaching the law, statutes, and commandments. So let's read it in this context now in Revelation chapter 22.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 2. In the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations.
So when it says it had 12 manners of fruits, now the Most High said that he separated seed after seed. How could these trees bear 12 manner of fruits? How could the tree bear 12 manner of fruits? Because this is all symbolic for the 12 tribes of Israel.
Being the foundation.
Right. Verse 3. Oh, Salaki, you had a precept.
Come. This is Zechariah chapter 14, verse 8. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be.
So that's another place within prophecy. When you deal with that, the rivers, it's in respect to the laws of the Lord, okay? Allowing the earth to be fertile again so we can live in what's called a paradise again, or the Garden of Eden, which is Garden of Pleasures. Okay, so we could get back into that civilization, get back into that society and that everlasting world that was promised according to Isaiah 45, verse 17. Okay, let's go to Revelation 22 and 3.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 3. And there shall be no more curse.
And there shall be what?
There shall be no more curse.
What is that talking about?
Curses that were put on us because of breaking
Curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28. Why was that able to happen? This is why it says, and he shewed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and the Lamb. How was that possible? Galatians 3 verse 13. Galatians 3 verse 13.
This is Galatians chapter 3 and verse 13. Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us, for it is written, cursed is every one that hangeth on a tree.
YHWH was hung on a tree and redeemed those who were under the curse of the law, redeemed us, being that sacrificial lamb. So that I tell you right there, Christ redeemed the Israelites from under the curse. Okay? So let's go back to Revelation chapter 22, verse 3.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 3. And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him.
So we're going to serve the Lord. All right? Let's jump back to Genesis chapter 3.
verse 3.
All right.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
So ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So what this is a representation of is the knowledge to be divisive, the knowledge to enact and prosper in witchcraft. This is what the serpent is giving to Eve. You notice whenever some a rapper or athlete, who they have to go to? They have to go to the white man to prosper. But he has to then learn the secrets of their society, right? He has to learn their mysticism. That's why the scriptures say that a king of fierce countenance shall rise up, understanding dark sayings. He understands how to gain power with the forces of darkness. Go ahead, King.
This is Sirach chapter 19 and verse 22. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence.
There you go. The knowledge of wickedness is no wisdom. You're not playing with the spirit of wisdom. You're not. The scriptures tell you that there's a wisdom from heaven in the book of James, and there's a wisdom of the earth. This is why the Lord is choosing the weak things of the earth to confound the wisdom of the wise, because they're dealing with the wisdom of the Greeks. They're dealing with the wisdom of this world. We're dealing with the wisdom of heaven. They can't understand that by the Spirit of the Lord. Okay? Let's go back to Genesis chapter 3.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Now, is this talking about them actually eating the fruit? Is this talking about they had sex with the serpent? No, because that's the ideology of Lilith. Okay, that came from an ancient Babylonian mystery concept. All right. But we know that Eve was led astray. She was beguiled, as you see today in society with our women, most likely being beguiled first. Her and Adam, okay, both started following after the other nations, like you see Israel doing. Through who? The serpent, the dragon, okay, the double-tongued man that was in the garden, that had that same spirit that he has today. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the eyes of them both were open.
The eyes of them both were open. What does that mean?
They knew good and evil. They knew they had the understanding of how to do good and evil, or to sin.
Well, they had never been ashamed. That's what it's talking about. They had never been ashamed, so they realized that they were no longer innocent before the Lord. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you some more clarity on that. Go ahead.
And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons.
So now let's go to Job chapter 31, verse 33.
I got it.
Okay.
This is Job chapter 31 and verse 33. If I covered my transgressions as Adam by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom.
So if they covered their transgressions as Adam by hiding their iniquity in their bosoms, that was in the representation of fig leaves. So what are our people doing? Our people are trying to go through every other shade or shadow, okay, of the nations to cover their iniquity, to cover their shame. No, you're going to go directly to the issue at hand. You broke the law, statutes, and commandments. You need to come back. Your Lord died for you as a sacrificial lamb. That's the only thing that's going to cover you.
I was also going to ask, when it says naked, that means like they're not pure anymore in the sense that they were
They're full of shame.
They're full of shame, and I'm going to give you the understanding of that. It's Hebrews chapter 4, verse 13. They were naked. That's why Satan or the serpent said he doesn't want you to be as gods, knowing good and evil. There's a power that God has. Everything before God is a shame. Because he's God. He has eyes. He has wisdom beyond you. You cannot go around him and be more righteous than him. He's a righteous king. He's a righteous ancient God.
That's right.
Everything before him is naked. You can't lie and cover up and say, you don't know. He knows everything. So as the white man, he wanted to possess that power. He's trying to say, he just don't want you to know like him. He don't want you to be like him, having that mind to know all things. Why do you think the white man is dying in his knowledge? The all-seeing eye, knowing and hearing everything through communication. He wants everything to be naked before him. Okay? Let's get that in Hebrews 4 and 13.
This is Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 13. Neither is there any creature that is not manifest in his sight, but all things are naked and open unto the eyes of him with whom we have to do.
You see that? So all things are naked before him, every creature. So that's why the Lord said, who told you was naked? You ain't supposed to be ashamed before God. You weren't created to sin against God in that sense. That's why it says in the book of what epistle, Galatians, I believe, where it says that law entered into the world, but sin reigned to this Adam transgressed. Because you got to understand what happened back then. Okay, It is in the likeness of now, but however, we as a people received a law of Moses. They had an oral law too back then. Mankind was created to live how long? About 1,000 years.
Generation.
The Lord began to strive with man, and he said, man is but flesh. He's going to 120 years. Okay, because he's not going to go through that, what he went through in before the pre-Diluvian. He shortened our lives. Could you imagine the wisdom that they had back then? Could you imagine Methuselah? 969 years old. Could you imagine how much wisdom that man had?
What's up with his name again?
Methuselah. We're literally intellectually dumb compared to those men. Because they had direct understanding.
Right.
They had that Enoch.
Translated.
He walked with God 365 years. We can't even imagine that. You see what I'm saying? So the similitude of our transgression compared to pre-Diluvian and beyond our imagination. Paul was speaking in a general sense concerning what was going on in that time. That's why it's written as we read it in a parable, because it's too complex for our finite minds. See what I'm saying? So when it says all things are naked before him, when they realized they were sinning, okay, they hid themselves, they covered themselves up with figs, with fig leaves. Now we're talking about the leaves when we are righteous in the kingdom, and our leaves would be for the healing of the nations. But we got on diverse leaves. We got on strange apparel. You read that in Zephaniah chapter 2. The Lord going to destroy all of those in strange apparel. All you pork chop eating pastors and all you Israelites that's banging your head on the floor, calling on Allah, Muhammad's the prophet, that's strange apparel to the Lord. Those are the fig leaves of the nations, and you're not going by way of your people. Okay? Continue that out.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 8. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day.
So when it says they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the cool of the garden, in the cool of the day, walking in the garden in the cool of the day. What does that mean?
It's like
The cool is shade.
The cool is the shade. You gotta get that. The cool of the day is the shade. When it's hot, where you go? You go into the shade. Adam was hiding where? Under the trees.
Under the trees, the nations.
He was hiding amongst the nations. Just like he sees Israel today. But what does it mean the voice of the Lord was walking in the garden in the cool of the day? Meaning Adam was hiding and he could hear the voice of the Lord. Zechariah chapter 7 verse 12. I got it. Zechariah 7 and 12.
This is Zechariah chapter 7 and verse 12. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which Yahweh of hosts hath sent in his spirit by the former prophets.
So it says, lest they should hear the law. Adam was hiding, heart adamant stone. The words which Yahweh of hosts had sent in his spirit by the former prophets. What do you think Enoch was? Prophet. What do you think many of the men of that time were? There were prophets back then as well. There's nothing new under the sun. Noah was a prophet. The cool of the day were all of the ways of the other nations. And guess who got Adam to fall into that? That Satan, that sorcerer, that wizard, white man, so-called white man. Okay, let's get Hosea chapter 4 verse 13. Let's show you the cool of the day. under the shade. It's probably it. Yeah, Hosea 4:13.
This is Hosea chapter 4 and verse 13. They sacrifice upon the tops of the mountains and burn incense upon the hills under oaks and poplars and elms.
So this is talking about Israel, but as we could read in Genesis, Adam started to go into idolatry.
This is cool.
Adam was going into all types of idolatry. Okay, and all his posterity. Finish reading that of Hosea chapter 4, verse 13. So hiding in the cool of the day, under the trees. Go ahead.
Because the shadow thereof is good.
Because the what?
Because the shadow thereof is good.
One more time.
Because the shadow thereof is good.
Because the shadow thereof is good. See, our people are hiding in the shadows under the nations because it's good. They don't want to speak to us smooth things.
That's cool.
Why y'all gotta stand in the corner yelling at people? And everybody just wants to feel comfortable. They don't understand the gospel is bad news for them. The good news, God is love. Right. The good news for us is the nation's bad news. So they don't understand why we speak what we speak, because it feels good under the shade.
And I got another precept on that.
Of Babylon, the shadows of Egypt, to fall under the shadow of Egypt and follow Egyptology, to be under the Babylonian mysticism schools, to be under the shadow of Sodom, to be under the shadow of all of these places feels good. Why do you think they prosper in this ABC community so much?
The alphabet.
Didn't Eve say that the food was the food looked at pleasurable? It was pleasurable. Ain't nothing pleasurable about being a homosexual to me.
It's a lot.
But you know what comes with that? Status, money. They find out you are a transformer. Oh, we could definitely use you. Be new CEO of this company.
Come on.
That's pleasurable to their eyes. Power, success, all of that comes with abiding under the shadows of these strange trees.
I got another precept. Go ahead, kid. This is Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 20. For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou saidest, I will not transgress, when upon every hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot.
So, apostasy. Under every green tree, committing apostasy, which is what? Rebelling against the Lord's original orders. Casting up a strange way. Matter of fact, let's get that in Jeremiah chapter 18, verse 15. Let's read verse 18. Then we're going to jump back into the topic because, you know, I like to build up into my understanding.
What scripture was that?
Jeremiah 18 and 15.
No, the one I just said?
Oh,
that's 2 and 20, y'all.
Jeremiah 2 and 20.
Jeremiah chapter 18 and verse 15. Because my people have forgotten me, they have burned incense to vanity, and they have caused them to stumble in their ways from the ancient paths to walk in the paths in a way not cast up.
You see, our people, this ain't the Most High ain't set none of this up for our people to follow. Our people looking crazy, all types of diverse colors in their hair. Our people blonde in their hair when the Lord say that that's unclean to have blonde hair. Our people wearing all types of crazy clothing. They say we crazy. Look, I got studs on my jacket. I was walking prior to coming to class. I was walking in the parking lot in Glastonbury. All of these kids was outside at this little Halloween little get together outside this restaurant, and I'm just walking, and people looking at me like he must be a wrestler for Halloween or something. Right? Is he a ninja? Nah, this is the old way that the Most High casted up. Get that real quick in Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 11. That blue ribbon in these fringes, that's an ancient path. That's an ancient way of apparel that our fathers dressed in. Let's read that in but these was precious rubies as well.
Yeah,
real silver. It wasn't. We had precious rubies on our garments, precious stones, emeralds, all types of stuff. Bdellium chains. See what I'm saying? Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 11.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 11. Therefore, beware of murmuring, which is unprofitable, and refrain your tongue from backbiting.
No, that's not it. Salaki. I think it's second Ezra's. Songs of Solomon 1 and 11.
Songs of
Wisdom.
Solomon?
I said Wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah, Con, you good. You got
Songs
that,
of
Rock?
Solomon. Salaki.
You good, Rock.
Got them mixed up.
It's a Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 11. We will make thee borders of gold with studs of silver.
We will make thee borders of
You
gold,
can't make
studs, and
this
silver.
up. I'm pulling that in camp
This
next
is
time.
not
somebody says,
Halloween.
what are you wearing? This is Songs of Solomon 1 and 11.
Songs of Solomon 1 and 11.
That's my new
This
one.
is an old way cast up. This is not strange apparel, the literal strange apparel. This is actual apparel of our fathers.
I just found a new one.
That
Song of Solomon 1 and 11.
1 and 11. This is Song of Solomon. So Solomon wore studs.
With a grill.
And he said my cheeks are filled with rubies. He had ruby grill. See what I'm saying? So yeah, that's Jake.
Hey, that's how you know. That's how you know that's Jake, man.
That's Jake. You see these rappers out here like this, standing up, yeah, but we had our fathers had that back then.
That was ancient, but he's still trendsetting. Like that's pretty.
Right. I know this is Revelation 20, so we're gonna get back on the topic. We ain't gonna get fly on them like that. Right. Finish that Hosea 4 and 13 really quick, bro.
Hosea chapter 4 and verse 13. The sacrifice upon the tops of the mountains and burn incense upon the hills.
What's they sacrifice on the tops of the mountains? Speaking in the double fold.
Yeah, it's manifold.
Sacrificing on the tops of the mountains. What do the mountains represent?
Please.
The government.
The governments.
Right.
What was Israel doing as kings? They was making alliances with Assyria, Egypt, all the nations around the world, playing the harlot and following their ways as well. Go ahead.
And burn incense upon the hills under oaks and poplars and elms, because the shadow thereof is good. Therefore your daughters shall commit whoredom, and your spouses shall commit adultery.
So that's another reason why our women are out of control. Because the priests, the kings, the princes, we went off, committed apostasy against the Most High. All right, let's jump back to Genesis chapter 3. So that was the voice of the Lord walking in the cool of the day. That was the prophets calling Adam out of their sin, the Edomites, all of the children of Adam. Okay, just like the prophets of old, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Hezekiah, Haggai, Micah, Malachi, Zechariah, Joel, Obadiah, these prophets, they all spoke against the sons of Israel. And the spirits are back now doing what? Prophesying again to Israel. The voice of the Lord walking through the garden, the earth, telling Israel to come back. And that's why the Lord said this. Go ahead.
It's Genesis chapter 3, verse 9. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou?
Where art thou? I always say, this is the first appearance of evangelism in the Bible. Where are you? That's what he's saying. That's what the Lord is saying to Israel today in a general sense. Where are you? Why are you hiding? Where are you? Normally, before, you was right here in fellowship. What's Israel doing? Some staying in hiding. 1/3 is coming out of hiding. Okay? Everybody getting it? So that's not literal. So now let's jump. Oh, now let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Verse 10. And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree, whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat?
So that tree, we all know that those are all of the strange fruits of the other nations. Partaking in idolatry, partaking in homosexuality, partaking in all of the things that the nations have taught the children of Israel that the Most High did not cast up. We left off Jeremiah 18. Go to Jeremiah 18, verse 16. And then we're going to read and back to Revelation. Yeah, then back to Revelation.
Jeremiah chapter 18 and verse 16. To make their land desolate and a perpetual hissing.
So when it says that we made our land desolate and a perpetual hissing, anybody know what that means? That means when people look at us on TV, they
Look at these.
look at these people.
It's a proverb.
These niggas. They're so loud.
They walk by us and be like, look at, they're rambunctious. What are you guys talking? You guys are full of hate.
Yeah. All you guys do is kill each other.
Oh, you're a Taliban.
Yeah.
Remember that? Right? You the Taliban. What?
Well, that's Ishmael. They don't come. Go ahead.
Everyone that passeth by thereby shall be astonished and wag his head.
So everybody gonna wag his head and be astonished at how our people polluted our God's land and his name to the point where in Ezekiel chapter 9, I believe it's Ezekiel 9, where the Lord said he wrought for his name's sake. That means he had to clean up his own name because we polluted it. So Kanawak, that's like if I was going around saying, Kanawak a little lying. Like, this nigga lied to me. I'm lying on you. You an honest brother. But he lying and then say, yo, Panah was saying I'm a liar, man. I ain't never lied to him about that. You gotta go clean up your name. So now you gotta wrought for your reputation's sake. That's what the Most High had to do through his son. That's why he said, glorify thy name. Because YHWH had to carry that and clean up the Most High's name and reestablish a new body of people. Right? Let's jump back to Revelation. I think y'all get the point of the whole serpent. Right? Back to Revelation chapter 20. Let's go to let's start at verse 1 again. Okay, with this understanding.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand.
So that key to the bottomless pit is what? We just went over it. Europe, the white man at his lowest. Okay? At his lowest. All right? What did the Most High curse? When the Most High cursed Satan, what did he say?
Thy belly shall crawl.
I'm going to read it. It says, and Yahweh said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, to the white man, thou art cursed above all cattle. What does that mean? Cursed above all cattle. What does the white man call us today?
Cattle.
Cattle.
Cursed above all people.
Are not everyone's servants supposed to be servants to Israel?
Right.
They are our cattle. They are our possession. But in today's terms, we're their possession. So they say, they treat us like cattle. This is what the Most High is saying. But the so-called white man is to be below those who are in our possession. I mean, he's not going to exist anymore. So he said, above all cattle of the field, that's what the Most High is talking about. The Most High made the sons of God. He made the sons of men. And then you got the serpent that's supposed to be under them, which was Satan, or embodiment of Satan. Cain, now the so-called Edomites. I mean, so-called white men who are the Edomites. Okay? Then it says, and above every beast of the field, all of the governments. It says, upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. What does that mean? He's to be primitive. That's what dust represents in the scriptures. Where was his beginning? Primitive. In the caves.
Yeah, that's why it's okay. Mount Seir.
Mount Seir. What does Mount Seir mean? Rough. So when you see in Daniel, it says that rough goat came. That was him. Where does goats dwell? In the mountains. And you see him on the. Goats be on the side of the mountain like that.
Be on the most.
It's the steepest
How do
slope.
they do that?
Like, how are you doing that?
But who does that? And
Hopping around.
yeah,
Like, what are you
who
doing?
does that? You see white folks with cliffhanger. They literally be hanging there with the rope. That's the white man. They do the same thing goats do. We Israel, we sheep, playing man. We hear the shepherd.
Man.
That's what we chilling. We don't like all of that crazy climbing mountain stuff. We just chill people. But we need a shepherd.
We do so. We just not extreme.
Right. We're not extreme with that. Right. See what I'm saying? You see how the Bible, I always say this, speaks so colorfully, man. I love this book. You cannot tell me that this ain't the one. No. Right? So that was his curse. But so look what it says. Verse 15 of Genesis 3, it says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman. That means one would hate the other. The Lord put it there, man. Who's the woman? Israel. The Lord put hatred between Jacob and Esau. He put it there. So when people would say, why you guys, just so mean? Listen, this is my evil twin brother. That nigga evil. I don't want no parts of him. And what does he do? I hate Jacob. He stole my birthright. You're not going to supplant me in my kingdom. You're just not going to do it. Right? That's what he's saying. And between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. That's Romans 16 and 20 when YHWH come back. And he is going to be the one to put Esau under his feet. That's right. Our feet. And guess what? He's going to go back to licking up dust. Dust meaning he's going to go back to being a primitive being forever. And eventually he's going to die off. All praises. See, he needs to because he's the infirmity on the planet. We will not ever be able to grow with death reigning on the planet. Death is a part of life, but death is reigning. Life is not reigning. Death is reigning. That's what the concept people need to understand about these holy scriptures. Right? Revelation chapter 20. Again.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand.
Go ahead.
And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
So when did this happen? He bound him, right? That chain he was to be in this period of time bound and not roaming the planet. Not hopping over here to practice. Not hopping over here. But he was bound at this time. When was he bound? 2nd century AD. There was no more Greeks and Romans able to come up on the earth and reign like they did. The Greco-Roman power was shut down by Jacob, shut down by the Israelites.
That's right.
So you had the Greeks ruling and the Romans ruling, and they prospered in their craft. This is where you get all of these philosophies of the Greeks and all of this mess from. Mythologies and things of that nature. That came from the Greeks and the Romans. He was not able to do that. We shut him up. Anybody know the history behind that? How did this happen?
With the Greek and Rome coming in power.
No, with them falling.
I would only say that the
Pull up that picture of Septimius Severus.
I got it all right here, right?
Oh, go ahead. But I want you to bring that history out.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, right now.
All right, so wait, you got to look up the fall. Now, Rome was split into two. It was Western and Eastern.
Right.
Eastern was conquered by us gaining power through the Byzantine Empire. Western fell through the riots of gladiators and through the rise of Septimius Severus, right? So I'm gonna show you some books, right? This is Imperial Rome, right? This is from Time Life books. So you see this right here. These are gladiators. You see, these are black men. Y'all see that? These are black men, gladiators. So when you watch that movie Gladiator, that was us.
Right.
That was the story of Israelites.
He was an Israelite.
Those are stories of Israelites, right? Fighting
for their freedom.
Look at this. This is sovereignty in Rome. Okay? Now you look at this. What do they always do to our statues?
Break off the
They
nose.
break off the noses, right? Look at this. Military might in Rome in 293 AD. These are Israel. This is in Venice. These are black men. That's what this is, right? I'm gonna keep showing y'all, right?
Rich history.
I'm gonna keep showing y'all, right?
Y'all need to know. Y'all
This
need to
is
do
the-
homework on Septimius Severus.
Right. This is the Byzantine Empire, right? This book is also called Byzantium. Same thing. This is from Time Life Books. These are all men with woolly hair. These are black men. That's what this is. In the Byzantine Empire. Don't get fooled by the cover. A lot of people don't, it's not our history.
Right.
Get books like this. Because when you open them up and you start reading the history, you realize this is us ruling and being sovereign and ruling through the Byzantine Empire.
Right. They would change the images for political or religious.
You got to talk up, huh?
So they would change the images for religious or political reasons through iconoclasm.
Right.
That's what they were doing.
Look at this. This is also the Byzantine Empire. Look at this. That's a black man. These are black people. Okay? Look at this. Woolly hair afros. It's the Byzantine Empire, man. Same thing with this. Look at this. These are black men. This book is The Art of the Byzantine Empire.
And where were majority of the churches set up?
or Macedonia, right?
Eastern Europe. You go into Philippians, when you go into all those regions,
Right.
it was set up in Eastern Europe.
Our what you call our canon with Apocrypha in it is from the Byzantine canon.
Mhm.
No, it said the video was on.
It's fine, huh?
No, that's the Zoom.
That's the Zoom?
Zoom, okay.
Yeah, that's the Zoom.
You keep saying that you're trying to airdrop that.
So 193 AD is an important year because that's when Rome fell. That's when Rome fell. That's when you go into the Bible, okay, And we're gonna get it right now.
And I still got some more.
You got some more?
Oh, I got a lot more. I could keep going, but I'm gonna make it short. Right? This right here, I'm gonna show you some more. These are Negro coat of arms. Right? This book is Nature Knows No Color Line. Right?
That was my book back in the day.
Look at this. These are Negro coat of arms in Europe.
They got Scotland, France,
In Europe, man.
every country, Belgium,
Can't make this up.
Portugal.
Netherlands, black faces. The Scots,
Scots, Germany.
the queen of the Scots was high yellow with woolly hair. See what I'm saying?
And the
We
only
ruled
reason
Europe.
why she was high yellow
We're gonna go into that.
is because she used to powder herself.
Really quick, let's go to Revelation 13:3. Why you bring that all out? So the serpent was put in what we could say servitude under Israelites. They were called the serfs and the Slavs during this dispensation of time. We were free people. We were the ruling class of Europe.
Look at this one. This is
Anybody know where Europe, the name come from?
Europa.
Europa,
A black
queen.
A black queen. Look at this. This book is the Jewish life in the Middle Ages. So now this is linking the black sovereignty with Jews. Look at this. These are black people, man. Look at the features. Look at the afros. These are black people. That's what this is, right?
We're gonna get even deeper.
Look at this. This is the people, the Moors, that they said began to conquer Europe. Look at, come on, man. You can't. Am I making this up? This book is called Spain: A History and Art. Come on. These are black people that came and conquered
Playing
Europe.
chess.
Okay?
Well, the Moors, they were mixed,
Yeah, they were mixed.
like Hamites. The word Moor means to navigate. They're navigators.
Yeah, it was
seafaring men.
Hamites, Israelites, and Ishmaelites. But the sovereignty within it was Israelites, of course.
Right.
Now, even look at this, right? This is not that long ago. This is in the This is in
Hold on.
1420.
I'm gonna explain this picture in a minute.
Come.
Now you see this picture right here. I'm gonna show it for the So these men at the top are black men.
Right.
This is a council of men in rulership. They're black. So
And look, the bottom is white men
Right.
in chains.
Change. This that key. This is that key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain was in his hand.
Look. This is the Bible coming to life.
Right. So
Look,
that's
this
that-
is the Oxford illustration history of British monarch. See, you will walk by this. Look at all these crackers in the front. You will walk by this and say, nah.
right. So what was happening was there were blacks in rulership sending Edomites to continents like Australia for crimes. They were even sending them to the Americas. That's true. Whites were coming over here as indentured servants, working off their crimes, okay? And they were being sent by kings of Europe, black kings, in chains. So this is that great chain that was in that angel's head. And Satan, the dragon, the old serpent, the devil, the so-called white man, was bound for 1,000 years. That's all that history that Yahweh was showing visually. Okay. But a gladiator by the name of Septimius Severus, and I believe another brother that was darker than him, Cornelius Niger.
Cornelius Niger, yep.
Okay. They overthrew the Roman Empire. Okay.
You could get a yeah, you
There's
keep
a
talking.
picture
I got you.
of Septimian Severus. The name of September, the month September, was named after him. Okay. This is history y'all don't know. And he was an Israelite. Okay. He was an Israelite, and he was an emperor. Okay.
There's a PDF, right? And it goes in. I'm gonna find it, but it goes.
That's Bond from LOI.
Yeah, that's Bond from LOI. Y'all about Shemi Ashabrakata.
Y'all about Shemi Ashabrakata. Yeah, he said he got that book.
He got all them books. Danyala put him up on. Danyala got everything I just got. That's all Danyala and Yeshaya from the original 7.
God. Well, let's read verse. So he was bound for 1,000 years. Okay, let's read verse 3.
Verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him.
So remember when we was talking about getting cast into the lake of fire? Did the white man get thrown into the bottomless pit like this? No. He was allotted this classification. He was put into the bottomless pit. Right? Go ahead.
That he should deceive the nations no more.
So when it says that he should not deceive the nations anymore, because he was the Greco-Roman, going around doing what? Let's get that in Maccabees 1:1. First Maccabees 1:1. Right? First Maccabees 1:1.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedon, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
So Darius was smitten. Okay. So now Alexander he's on the scene now. He came from where? Macedonia. But this is not where the Edomites originated from. They originated from Mount Seir. But when we read the book of Esther, we understand that Haman came also from where? He was from Agag, but from where? He came from Macedonia.
Right. That's the 3-1.
He came from Macedonia. During this time, the Edomites, through what's called the Samnite Wars, they warred against the Japhethites that were there.
Yep.
You had the Pelasgian people. Okay, they warred with them, and they took that land for territory. Okay, and that's when they became the Macedonians or the Greeks,
and began to conquer and conquer more and more.
Right. So now, finish reading that in Maccabees.
That he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
So he was the first over Greece. Okay. So this is the white man coming on the scene in the 4th century BC. This is how earliest he can go. This is why they call him Alexander the Great.
The homo.
Right. Alexander the Great, because he's great to them. Because he put them on the map. He put them on the map. But they wasn't supposed to be at that map. Where was they supposed to be? Go to Joshua 24:4 real quick. Joshua 24 verse 4.
This is Joshua chapter 24 and verse 4. And I gave unto Isaac Jacob and Esau, and I gave unto Esau Mount Seir.
You gave unto Esau who?
Mount Seir.
Mount Seir. Not Macedonia. Not Jerusalem. Not Russia. Not America. Not none of that. He gave them Mount Seir.
And he goes on the Mount Seir where the Horites are. And the Horites were plagued with leprosy.
Right.
Plagued with leprosy. And that's who Esau intermingled with.
Right. And how they eventually became what we call the white race.
The white race.
Right. Let's go back to Revelation. So Alexander, matter of fact, finish reading because I wanted to get to a certain portion.
And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
The earth was quiet before Alexander and his army.
Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up.
He was exalted and his heart was lifted up, like every other Edomite. Every other, the scriptures say that we are more than conquerors through him that loved us first, right? Alexander conquered the world. Nimrod conquered the world. Nebuchadnezzar conquered the world. Cyrus and Darius and their posterity, Sennacherib, they conquered. Do you know that these men were considered gods because of their wisdom, because they conquered their Sennacherib, the Babylonians, the Persians, all the people around that region? Did you know that the Lord said that the Assyrians' gardens were like the gardens of the Garden of Eden?
Yep.
They had rivers that flowed upward into their gardens. So these men were lifted up. So when Alexander came and conquered these Persians and seen the Babylonians and he had power over them, he was lifted up beyond might. They call Alexander a demigod. So that's where they get the understanding that he's the son of Zeus. I'm going to get all of that, those theories from, because he conquered ancient melanated men, ancient Persians. Like, oh man, he's a god. See what I'm saying?
And we let him walk right into the temple.
Right.
And brought him to the book of Daniel.
Right.
And said, this is you.
Yep.
And then he said, oh, and gave him more of a stronghold to continue to conquer towards the west.
Right. But the crazy thing is the Lord said we are more than conquerors.
And a lot of people don't know, a lot of our people joined his army when he walked. They were so amazed at the vast army that he had. These men were riding elephants, man.
Not elephants, mastodons.
This is the type of stuff they were riding on. With horses, with lions, with leopards and lions in chains.
Yep.
This is all historical documented, right? So these people walk up to Jerusalem, and of course, what our people do, we join them.
Right. And you know what's so crazy? During the times of the Maccabees, they said that there was a war. I forget where it was. And they said there was so much armor involved in the war. That's when they said that 30 men was on that on that elephant.
The Eliezer, he lifted his spear up on one of the elephants.
It's not an elephant though. That was a mastodon. 30 people cannot fit on the elephant.
Yeah.
That was a mastodon. So you got these men warring with mastodons. The scriptures say that it was so much armor that the sun was beaming off of the armor and it looked like the mountains were on fire. Yeah, I mean, these men were a different breed. These men were a different breed. So that just shows you how rich the history of the Bible is. In order for them to align their history, they got to go into the Bible to align this. And a lot of people can align Revelations with history because they don't understand it, because the Lord didn't open up their understanding. This book ain't sealed. It's sealed to those who do not understand it, who the Lord did not seal to get the interpretation of it. Everybody understand? You are all in here being sealed to understand it. Okay? Let's jump back to Revelation 20. Let's 3. Yep.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him.
So it set a seal upon him. That seal is in representation that At some point, he will, by manifest destiny, just like Yahweh brought out according to Alexander, he would be revealed in his time. Give me that word seal in the Greek really quick. They set a seal upon him. Because at some point, he's going to break out of this cord. He's going to break out of this bottomless pit. Somebody give me the Greek.
Yeah, Doc, you got it.
It's forgizo, which means to set a seal upon, to set things sealed, up or as concealed, to hide, to keep in silence, keep secret, or in order to mark a person or a thing.
To preserve.
Right. That's what I wanted.
To preserve.
So he was bound because he was to be revealed at a certain time. That's his preservation. So we could know he's the devil. Could you imagine if that head that was not wounded, Revelation 13 really quick. Could you imagine if he was the Greco-Roman and then we didn't bind him? Could you imagine what the world would be today? With all of the, I was watching a movie. It's called what's that cat? That Jason Momoa. Jason's.
Yeah.
It's a new movie. He got a new movie out right now. Oh man, it's wild. It's wild. It's wild. Huh? Doom. That's it. Watch that movie. Watch that movie. They literally had a spaceship come down, right? And the black people walk off of it. Yeah. Black people walk, they're like ancient looking black people just walked off of it. I said, they know that's the kingdom of heaven. Like they know what's going on. But could you imagine if he was not bound for those 1,000 years? What the world would look like today? With his imagination, him prospering in his craft and practicing? Come on, please. Lord said, nah, this cat got to get bound for a little season. This nigga is wicked. He's wicked. Revelation 13. Yep.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
See? So his head was wounded via the gladiators, via him being bound, but then it was healed. That was the seal. Eventually, he was preserved for him to be revealed as the son of perdition, as you read in Thessalonians. The man of sin, he had to be revealed. So we could go in and see the through iconoclasm, Job 9 and 24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. So we can understand he painted over those faces. He broke off the noses. These ain't the judges of the earth. And he tried to identify and become you. I got in my old series I was doing Panah files, right? Where you have the tether. The idea of the tether came from ancient Babylon. When you go into that movie, Us, the scissors, if you look at it, it's the Gemini head, the evil twin aspect and the good twin aspect. Where one, what happened? One was on in normality. If you watch the movie, she was above ground. One was underground in Hades, quote unquote, on hell. So the other one was walking in, she went inside the mirror room, and then she saw somebody that looked just like her. Then what happened? Switch roles. So when they switch roles, who's switching roles now? Esau. He's trying to be Jacob. So now Esau's living normal, right? And as you can see in the movie, that the other one that switched, she was a grown-up now, but she knows she put the real girl in the dungeon. That's Israel. So now she's up there and She's snapping off beat because you know Esau ain't got no rhythm. she's not connected to spirituality like us. So now
Witchcraft, man.
Jacob finally comes back up and like you trying to be me, and we look crazy. That's the idea of the tether. So now here you have it. Jacob is getting his face painted over, iconoclasm. This wasn't Jacob, this is me. What it's saying Maccabees?
They opened the book of the law.
They opened the book of the law and painted the
Likeness of
the
their
likeness of their images. Trying to be Jacob. Go ahead.
So iconoclasm was even happening back then?
Yeah.
Yes. It
Maccabees.
started with the Maccabees.
First Maccabees 348.
That's why even during the time of the Maccabees, if you go to Persia, if you go to India,
Yep.
they have white gods that sprang during that time that Rome was conquering everywhere. Same thing in Egypt.
Right.
It wasn't Osiris, Ra, and Isis, and those are not Egyptian names. So when they went into Egypt is even a Greek name. When they went into Egypt, they did the same thing in Egypt. They made gods white. So everywhere the white man goes, he stamps his foot and says, "This is me. We were the Egyptians. We were the Israelites. We were this. We were that." Go ahead,
To add to your point, that's why they portrayed him as white in the movies today.
right?
You know what's so crazy? They even Cornelius in the Bible, he comes from the surname Cornelius that came from Cornelius Sulla, and then his son was Faustus Cornelius. And if you look up a statue of Cornelius Sulla, they broke off his nose too. You seen that?
Family of Cornelius
was brothers. So
You can read some of that history, right? Y'all write this down. This is important. Sons of Israel in Caesar's service. Say it again. Sons of Israel in Caesar's service. Jewish soldiers in the Roman military. So we were in their military, man. We were when Genesis 49 says we're going to be in the neck of our enemies. It's not just America, man. That was even in Rome. That was in Greece. We were there too. We were the senators and sitting in their courts. You know what I'm saying? So we've always been amongst them.
Jewish soldiers, what?
Right.
There's Jewish soldiers and what?
I got you.
So Revelation chapter 20. Let's read verse 3 again. We're moving through this slowly. We tiptoeing through it.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3. He cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up, and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more.
So he was bound. Greco-Roman Empire ceased. Go ahead.
So the 1,000 years should be fulfilled.
So 1,000 years later, he had to fulfill his iniquity. His iniquity came to a full as a Greco-Roman. Then guess what? The only reason why he came out of that bottomless pit because Israel started going off. Every time Israel go off, we start trying to conduct ourselves like the other nations. We started getting into humanism. We started getting into all of that new ideologies of Marxism, and all of that was coming out back then. And then guess what? He snuck his way back up. He just don't want you to know like you know, knowing good and evil. We went right back to listen to that damn serpent. The Catholic Church, they're receiving power. They killed a lot of our people off of Yahweh showed you the book Nature Knows No Color Line with all those pictures of the coats of arms being black. What happened to that? We lost our authority.
And a lot of it is underneath the museums. There's a website. I got to find it, though. It's deep in my phone. There's a website that shows in Britain and Ireland and Wales and Scotland and France and Spain, Portugal, all around there, right? That shows all of the black images, and literally right next to it It says not on display. Not on. Why? Why is it not on display? And the very same person, let's just use for an example, King James, the very same person has another image painted 50 to 100 years after his death, but that's on display. Why?
In the basements. And these museums were actually places where blacks ruled from and had there were offices of where they ruled from, things of that nature. So there are pictures that were up and they were hanging. What did the white man do? Let's take this down and put it in. There were places where they had councils and all of that. Okay, but during the Renaissance, things changed.
I was going to ask when did the Dark Ages start until it's ending? Like
The Dark Ages? The Dark Ages was considered to be around the 2nd century, going into the 3rd century.
Going into the 3rd century.
That's why when you have Constantine,
I know too that you may have an earlier date or whatever, but I know Portugal started sending us over to South America and America in the 1400s.
yeah, but that's when around time it ended.
Yeah.
He was
That's
saying
what I'm
in the beginning. Yeah. So it ended around, to be honest,
We began to lose power little by little.
right.
And it started in Central Europe, around Germany, Belgium. That's where we lost our power first. And through the Vatican, Italy, Venice. And when we began to lose our power in the middle, it began to spread.
Right.
And then began to go to Western Europe. And then the last stronghold we had, believe it or not, was Russia. The czars ruled all the way to the 1800s.
Yeah, they did.
All the way to the light-skinned black people. All the way to the 1800s. That's when we finally lost our power. But when they began to reign again was between 1100 and 1200 AD. And when did they lose their power? Between 150 and 250 AD. It's 1,000 years, man.
Right.
It's 1,000 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Give him the mic.
Right. Speak on the mic real quick. Slack. Yeah.
Saying that you can almost see this all when you look at them, that's their main fear of us getting among them. Like they look at us in fear, just
They worry. They worry. When you learn the truth of who you are, you become that. You become that, and you become that royalty in the earth. You realize, I got the birthright. Esau said, "What does this prophet? What does this birthright profit me?"
Mm-hmm.
You said that, not Jake. What?
There you go. It's back.
Yeah, it's lock here. I was going on to say, Jake was the original hustler.
It's not work. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's working.
All right. So when you see them brothers in the streets trying to sell you everything, that's Jake. Hey, man. $5. You know what I'm saying? Jake got a whole band of watches right there. Got $5. Huh? $5. Come on, $3, man. Come on, $1.50. You know what I'm saying? The original supplanter, man. That's what Harag used to say. Yeah, right. Selling fake J's. Hey, man. These real, man. Come on, man. $20. You can't beat that. That's Jake. Jake done bamboozled Esau. But we ain't necessarily bamboozling. He ain't want it. He said, what does this birthright profit mean? Right. Jake said, I want that. And for a morsel of meat. He gave it up. This birthright it's valuable. It's priceless. It took YHWH's blood for us to receive this inheritance and this promise. It's priceless. He took the blood of a damn uncooked soup with meat, with little meat fragments and blood, and that's what he valued this. That's why you can't continue no more. He's a man and he desires instant gratification. That's why he has McDonald's. He wants everything fast. He wants everything at this lowest quality. Fast food. Everyone wants
GMOs.
GMOs. He got. You know why he has to have GMOs? Did not the Lord curse the ground from right? Where he said, "Curse is going to be the ground." Yeah, Cain is a vagabond on the earth. Genesis 4:10. Wherever the white man goes, he can't plant seed and it prosper for him. That's why he needed us to pick sugar cane. He needed us to pick cotton. He needed us to pick tobacco. He needed us to run the farming industries. He needed us to do that. Because it's not producing for him. Okay? Let's go back to Revelation 20.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season.
After that, he must be loosed a little season. See, a lot of Christians, a lot of even some Israelites go off on this, thinking that Christ's going to rule 1,000 years, and then Satan is going to reappear, and then all of a sudden it's going to be some fire come from the sky. Let's not talk about that. He was bound after the Greco-Roman Empire that he couldn't deceive the nations no more. Now you have a dispensation of time that we got to pull out in history and go into all these artifacts and all these sources and all these books to prove that we ruled Europe. Okay, that was 1,000 years where he was bound. Okay, but then it says he must be loosed a little season. So let's get that. Let's go to Job chapter 30. Job chapter 30, verse 1. I get it, bro. Bless your voice.
This is Job chapter 30 and verse 1. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision.
So after he was loose for this season, they that were younger than I, what does that mean? The white man is new on the planet. We just read about Alexander. He was their first king of the Edomites. That was the 4th century BC. He's younger than us. He learned from us. Everywhere he went, he learned from us. We civilized him. We show him how to bathe himself. If you go into the history of the Edomites, man, it was filthy, man. They used to throw their dung all out their windows, man, into the streets. They didn't corral their animals. They used to let their animals walk through their house. You know the perfect movie you need to watch? Yeah, they still do. They sleep in their bed. The dogs sleep in their bed. Come here, Sparky. This dog, oh, he's beautiful. Sorry, I was so graphic. Kissing on a dog in their mouth and licking. Yeah, cats walking on the damn counter while they're cooking pie. We're gonna bring this to the potluck. There's a potluck with white folks around it. I will never eat the food. When I used to work in the school system, it's like potluck. Be like, not me. I am going down the street to get food for lunch because I'm not eating that. You see a big ass, long ass strand of hair come out their food, their hair can fall off in it. Just unsanitary. Food. They eat all types of different, all types of meat. Oh, just
Or raccoon.
yes,
Or roadkill.
yeah. They really have like in ancient times, man. They just eat
Turtle soup.
meat, just meat upon meat all day. You know what I'm saying? And no real good fruits and vegetables on the side. We're gonna go into it. How many of y'all know this history of the white man is in Job? It's in the book of Job. We're gonna go into it.
History and prophecy.
History and prophecy. Right. Go ahead.
But now they that are younger than I have Salakia. They that are younger than I have me in derision.
So they that just came upon the earth, now they got me in some type of confusion. I'm out here walking like a damn vagabond, and he's a real vagabond. Where's my land? He got a land, home of the brave. From sea to shining sea. You heard that song, right? That ain't your land. No, we don't. We really think that we come from Israel. We're living like the vagabond now. We're confused. We're in derision.
You know what song I hate?
Yeah.
Your land is my land.
Yeah.
My God, I hate that song.
This land
bro.
is your land.
Right.
This land is my land. The hell it's not. Now we're in derision. Now we confused. Now we in the quote unquote bottomless pit. Don't got no agricultural resource. Don't got no gold, no silver, no bank, no basket store, the scripture said, because we cursed. See what I'm saying? Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh,
Yep,
Salakia.
30.
Salakia.
He's thinking real deep.
Yeah, I'm
He
like,
thinking about the kingdom. Like he want revenge.
I can't wait. Whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
See, the fathers of these people, your Ulysses S. Grants and your James Monroes, your John Adams.
I just want Christopher
Columbus. Your Christopher Columbus. They were worthy to set by the dogs of the sheep. That's what Job is saying. They were worthy to be set with the dogs that is outside. The fathers of these people. Go ahead.
Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished.
So that means we the ancient people. We ancient. And guess what? The work of their hands don't profit us. We're not in their blueprint for success. Go ahead.
For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste.
So, for want and famine, didn't God curse Cain and said that this was wherever he went, he was going to be a vagabond? He said, my judgment or my punishment is too much for me to bear.
Yeah, all right.
Everywhere the white man goes, you got the sun beaming on him. Porphyria. Everywhere he goes, he cannot. When he came here, he didn't know how to grow corn.
He didn't know how to grow nothing.
The natives taught him that. We taught him everything he knows. Bathing, building infrastructure, everything you can imagine.
You know what they was eating when they began to conquer? They was dick. They were, you good eye. I don't know, your phone, your phone an agent, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Android stuff, man. The photographer say something. Anyway, nah, I'm messing with you. They was digging, right? I got another book over there. They was digging Native American grave sites and eating corpses. Seriously. The Native Americans recorded this themselves because we were watching them, because they already heard that there was pale faces coming from the sea. You know what I'm saying? So they was recording this. It's one of the books that show that is The Lies My Teacher Told Me. It's right up there. Good book. Real good book. But go ahead,
Cause you read it.
Oh, all right. Slack.
You read it.
I thought I had the green bean. Anyway. For want and famine, they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste.
Solitary means nobody rocked with the white man. I want to say the F-bomb. Nobody, the white man. Nobody rocked on him. We used to poke him with sticks, like, get back over there into the damn mountains, man. You know why? Because he was considered the wicked. I always say this joke. You go to any nation and say, Okwinsuocha in Ace Ventura.
Yeah, the white devil.
It means white devil. Yeah. Solitary. He knows this about himself too. Okay? When we watch Roots, even though it was a fabricated storyline, but they said he has a funny smell. You can smell him.
The natives said that. You know when the white man coming, you can smell him.
He has a distinct smell. He doesn't bathe. That book by Arthur Koestler, he goes into the Khazarian Empire. He said that they used to wear clothes until it's disintegrated. Till it disintegrated. Their underwear.
What's wrong with you?
They wore underwear until it disintegrated off. They ate lice.
That they plucked from their
That they plucked. Yeah.
That's why you bring it up. I'm getting back into reading that. I'm like,
yo, man. Look at Dara. She like, man, I'm about to go to school with some different type of mentality. Continue up.
Who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat.
So they used to eat juniper roots for their meat. What's a juniper root? It's an orange, it's like a carrot. Watch out, Doc. That's all they ate.
That's why if you look up paleo diet is what they call a caveman diet. And it's all berries and all roots.
Yep.
Exactly.
And why you think they just want to be vegan all the time?
Vegan.
There's roots and cucumbers, stuff like that. Not even cucumbers. The Bible tells you just roots and bush berries and stuff. That's what they ate for their meat. It was in the mountains, remember? In the caves. Caucasian means cave dweller. Go ahead.
They were driven forth from among men.
Driven forth from among men. Did I tell you that we used to be, get your monkey ass in the goddamn. Remember, what's the song of the 70s? Hey, hey, with the monkeys. People say we monkeys. They was telling you there was a damn monkeys dead. God damn it. They're trying to tell you they're the monkeys, man. I'm gonna call us monkeys. Y'all the monkeys. Hey, hey, with the monkeys. People say we monkeys. Y'all heard that song. Right? We ain't too busy singing.
Then Johnny Bravo get a monkey.
Yeah, they're monkeys, man. They're monkeys. Go ahead.
They cried after them as after a thief.
They cried after them as after a thief. Every time they want to come out of their darkness, they come trying to steal something, lie about something, take something, take a whole land. That's an Obadiah, man.
Mm-hmm. I just opened it.
The prophets is get that spirit.
You know? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to read the next verse and then go into it. To dwell.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 6. To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks.
Y'all ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Bill, what is it?
Bilbo Buggins, him coming out of the damn valley door, like, yo, Bilbo, hey, Frodo, them. That's them. Big ass feet, club foot, walking. Arr. That's them. Smeagol in the darkness, vampire. Like I said, porphyria, man. You know they suffered from porphyria in that time, right? Porphyria is when they get big ass bubbles on their skin.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get the ideology of vampires. That's why they can't go in the dark. They start
Can't go in the light.
porphyria in the light. Excuse me. They gotta stay in the dark. That's them. Death.
What's that called?
Porphyria. Porphyria. I think I spelled it right. But go ahead.
This is Obadiah, verse 3.
Uh-huh.
The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock,
The caves of the rock.
whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to
Now,
the ground?
Look how high the white man is today. And look how low he was. Where the Lord says that he was supposed to crawl on his belly, lick up the dust of the earth. Primitive. But because we fell, he set the lowest of the low above the highest of the high. Got nothing to say. Go ahead, Ken.
This is Job 24:8. They are wet with the showers of the mountains and embrace the rock for want of shelter.
There you go. That's them. They literally are amongst the damn mountains, rocks.
That's why-
caves, holes.
Look what they do. Concrete,
Yep.
skyscrapers.
Yep.
That's their nature, man.
Concrete jungles they building.
That's
they
their
love
nature.
concrete.
I was gonna say,
Right.
as he's reading in Job 30, when you look in the caves, one of the definitions of it is a den of wild beasts.
They're definitely wild beasts.
Remember the teachers that been brought out with Daniel with Shia and Barak. That's what Nebuchadnezzar brought back to his natural state when he got prideful.
Mm-hmm.
A beast.
I mean,
And the Most High gave him the mind of the beast. Daniel 4 and no, that's Daniel 4 and I think 17. When the Most High
Nebuchadnezzar went.
smoke Nebuchadnezzar, I
Yeah,
think that's it. I might be wrong. You might be wrong.
Daniel 5:21.
Oh,
He's confident.
no, he's confident.
He just looked it up.
What he says that? Daniel 5.
It's Daniel 5.
I'm telling you, it's Daniel 5. I just studied this all week. Yeah, man, he's sharp, boy. He's sharp.
Keep reading.
Yeah, keep reading.
This is Job 30:7. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together.
Now, I want you to imagine this. Among the bushes they brayed, amongst the nettles they gathered. What does that sound like? The caveman. What does braid mean? Get that in the Hebrew. Braid. They braid. So whenever a Edomite try to tell you, speak proper English.
Oh,
You guys are speaking Ebonics. We're gonna tell you what you spoke. Huh?
Isn't brain something a donkey does?
No, we're gonna get it right now.
Scream as an ass. Cry out. That's what it says.
So how does a donkey sound? Yeah. That's what the Bible is saying about the white man. He used to Yeah. Hey, with the monkey.
You used of an ass when hungry and of a wretched and famished person.
Go. And we civilized them. We taught them language, sciences, all types of gave them all types of intellect. Now look, he's ruling the planet and he's showing his true, I don't want to say color because he's not, but he's showing his true nature. That's why the scriptures say never trust thine enemy. And you know the scriptures tell you about Jake. It says we are hated because of our love. We are despised because of our love. When you look at a history of Jacob being in slavery, we still loved our oppressor, which is crazy to me. But because we still trusted in loving first, because we're a people of love, they use that to their greatest advantage. That's in the scriptures in the book of Psalms. Finish that up. Because I'm getting somewhere with this. When he was loosed, remember, he was loosed for a season. This man we're reading about right here was loosed. This crazy ass individual. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 8. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth.
The Bible said they were children of fools, of base men. What does base mean?
The low. It's Ezekiel 21.
Ezekiel 21:25.
Exalt him that is low. Yep.
Exalt him that is low and abase him that is high. That's Israel. Overturn. That's prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, go ahead.
Verse 9. And now I am their song, yea, I am their byword.
Now we're their song. Sing me one of those Negro spirituals, nigga. That's what the scripture is talking about. Go ahead, fiddlers, fiddle. Now we fiddling. Right. Sing us one of them songs of Zion. Kumbaya, my Lord.
Hebrew.
Right.
Kumbaya, Hebrew.
Yeah.
We sang that in the slave ships, man.
Kumbaya, rise in Yah. Kumbaya, swing low, sweet chariot, coming forth to carry me home. We know what that's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, we only in Revelation 20, verse 3. We got to speed it up. This is a deep topic right here. Go ahead.
They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not the spit in my face, because he has loosed my cord and afflicted me. They have also let loose.
Slow that down. Read that from the top again.
Because he has loosed my cord and afflicted me. They have also let loose the bridle before him.
So what that's saying is they don't hesitate to keep distance from us. Now they're like, keep that neighbor away from me. And they don't hesitate to spit in our face. That's what the scriptures are saying. Go ahead.
Upon
verse 11.
Oh, Salakia. Because I just read that. I want to read it again.
Yeah.
Because he hath loosed my cord and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me.
So they do this. When they say they unloose the bridle before me, they do it right in front of our face. Meaning they have this type of power now where they could make us feel powerless. What's the scriptures saying? Go ahead. This
upon my right hand rise the youth. They push away my feet, and they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. Keep reading. I'll go back to Revelation.
Verse 11. Verse 11.
Again?
One more time.
Because he had loosed my cord and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me.
So what they did was they broke loose. Remember what the prophecy says
in Genesis.
That he's going to break the yoke that we had on him from his neck. Now you see how the Bible is speaking. Now they're going to be able to do that. So he was loosed for a little season. Now let's go back. Understand.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season.
So now we see that he's in his season after he was loose from his bottomless pit. That deadly wound was healed in the Renaissance era. Malachi 1 says, he said what? We will return and restore and build up the desolate places. Okay? So Esau is building up his desolate places. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them. Judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Christ, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
This is where people go off. Okay?
Really off.
So, what was happening during the times of the 1,000-year period when Satan was bound? You got to remember, it's not speaking chronologically. John is seeing something. He's saying that Satan was bound for 1,000 years, and these people, okay, received power for 1,000 years. All of the pictures we just showed you was those who reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. Why does it say reign with Christ? Because Christ was revealed to be the Son of God, and people believed in him in that era, i.e. the New Testament. So to prove that they reign with Christ, let's see what Paul said.
I got it.
1 Corinthians 4 and 8.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 8. Now ye are full, now ye are rich. Ye have reigned as kings without us. And I would to God ye did reign, that ye also might reign with you.
So we reign without, meaning outside of Jerusalem, even to this day, we reign in the spirit of Mashiach Yahushua. Verse 9.
Oh, slack.
Go ahead, man.
My bad. Verse 9. For I think that God has set forth us, the apostles, last, as it were appointed to death. For we are made a spectacle unto the world, and to angels, and to men.
So when you look at the millennial reign, Christians and many people think that this millennial reign, Christ ain't gonna just reign for 1,000 years. They reign with Christ for 1,000 years. Was all of the visuals that we just showed you when they were reigning with that understanding as apostle from under the apostles. The New Testament understanding, the new covenant, that's reigning with Christ. Okay, so they reigned with Christ. They had thrones, they had rulership, they had power. Okay, but then all those who denied the mark, because remember, the mark goes in its levels to the mark. Because the mark, his image was who? Caesar Borgia. The mark represented the Christian church. The mark represented having allegiance with him.
System.
Right, in his system. So if you go into that history, I love to go into the history of William Tyndale. William Tyndale was martyred. He was Tyndale, excuse me. He was dethroned. When I say dethroned, because he was an authoritative figure.
And then the next pope after him, Salakia, the next pope after him dug up his grave and then burned his bones.
Yep. These men were dethroned. They had to usurp authority by conspiring to exterminate and kill their bloodlines. Okay? King James was killed. Then they made a lie on him. All of these men that you read about in the history of the Dark Ages, they were dethroned, beheaded. That's what the scripture. Most of them were given up to the guillotine. Most of them. So that's what John is seeing. That's why you have a colon, right? Where we at? A colon. And it says, Let me read it for myself. Yeah. The Revelation 20, verse 4 says, and I saw thrones, meaning they had rulership, they had power, and they sat upon them, meaning all of the little regions of Europe where they ruled, even to the parts of West Africa. You want to go into West Africa? Okay. They had power during that time, the Israelites. Then it says, and judgment was given unto them. Meaning they had power to establish judgment, decree rules, things of that nature. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of YHWH. So those who believed in the true gospel of YHWH, they were dethroned. That's why there was a great conversion of Islam, a great conversion of Christianity via the Catholic Church. But some that wasn't believing in that garbage. Most of them wrote letters to King James to say that we are protecting our heritage, the Hebrew heritage. And they were fighting against the Roman papacy. They have these in the letters.
Look up this book, right? It's this is the complete works of Saint Apollinus de Ligori. This is the victories of the martyrs, the lives of most celebrated martyrs of the church, right? This goes into all of the martyrs that were Israelites, by the way, that were being beheaded, being burned alive, tarred and feathered, hung. Same thing they did over here. That was happening over in Europe when we began to lose power and when they began to fight against us, when we were bringing back the true gospel, right? And that a lot of this, look it up, is a Reformation era when we were fighting against the Catholic papacy.
Can I ask a question out if it's relevant?
If it's not relevant, why ask it?
Was Saint Patrick a real person?
Why is that relevant? Why are you asking that?
Because they said that he came
just stick to the topic.
Yeah.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 5. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
Now, a lot of people don't understand what this is saying. When it says, but the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. So what this is saying is, when you go, give me Proverbs 21.
I already got it.
Verse 16.
Mm-hmm. This is Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead.
So what this is talking about, when it says the rest of the dead live not again. Let's go to Hosea 6 and 2.
I got it. It's Hosea chapter 6 and verse 2. After 2 days will he revive us.
After 2 days will he revive us.
In the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight.
So
Ezekiel 37.
Yo, get that. Ezekiel 37. So this dead live not again. It's talking about the body of Israel. Where the beast, it said it trampled underfoot and wearied the saints. Meaning they took our identity. They took what we could correlate to concerning being the saints of God. And guess what? We're amongst the congregation of the dead because we have, matter of fact, give me Psalms, I think it's 33 verse 12.
31 and 12.
31 and 12.
This is Psalms chapter 31 and verse 12. I am forgotten as a dead man.
I am forgotten as a dead man because he hid you in history. Go ahead.
Out of mind.
Out of mind.
I am like a broken vessel.
I am like a broken vessel that, like you read in Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 13. You're like a vessel you put water in, and it goes right through it. In the valley of dry bones. So it says, then the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were fulfilled, because there was 1,000 years where we knew who we were, ruling and reigning. We were dethroned. Then it was another 1,000 years. So after that 1,000 years, those 2 days, the 2,000 years, we were revived. So we live not again until after that second 1,000 year. Let's get Joshua 3:1. Joshua 3:1. To get that understanding. That is Old Testament prophecy, even during the times of Joshua.
This is Joshua chapter 3 and verse 1. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. And it came to pass after 3 days.
3 days. What does 3 days represent?
2,000 years.
Nope.
Understanding.
Nope.
That's number
The 3 days YHWH was buried. When Abraham went to go sacrifice Isaac, it said he took a 3-day journey. Christ was in the belly of the earth 3 days. This is a sign. This is a temporal compass. 3 days. So after 3 days, this is what we could say is what the Bible speaks in manifold prophecy. Okay. So after 3 days, Christ being in the belly of the earth, he would rise, and then what's between that time period? Read that real quick.
And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host, and they commanded the people, saying, when ye see the ark of the covenant of Yahweh thy power, and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it.
So we're going to remove from our place and go after it. Okay? Remember this. But there's going to be a space. Okay? Go ahead.
Yet there shall be a space between you and it.
So it's going to be a space after these. This is a sign. After 3 days, YHWH was in the grave. But then it's going to be a space in between us in the ark of the covenant when we make that perpetual covenant with the Lord. How long is this space? Go ahead.
About 2,000 cubits by measure.
About what?
About 2,000 cubits by measure.
About 2,000 cubits by measure. See, we got to put the Bible in the proper numerics. That's a representation of the 2,000 years. Okay? So there was a millennial reign for 1,000 years. And then we were given into the hand of our enemies and the congregation of the dead. And after that, we didn't live again till after that second 2,000 years, we'll be revived.
Right.
Now, this is the Bible giving you understanding. Let's go to Ezekiel 43:10. So remember, that's that measure, okay? But what do we have to do as a people? We have to seek out of the book of the Lord, and we have to read, man, so we can get this understanding. What do we have to do? The Bible going to tell you.
Ezekiel chapter 43 and verse 10. Thou son of man, show the house to the house of Israel.
Show the house to the house of Israel. Go ahead.
That they may be ashamed of their iniquities, and let them measure the pattern.
Let them what?
Measure the pattern.
Let them measure the pattern. You see, the Bible speaking in the same pattern. 2 days. 1,000 years we reign. 1,000 years after that we be revived. 2 days after 2 days will be the Most High will revive us on the third day. That's cool. 3 days in Joshua, 2,000 cubits. You got to measure the pattern.
That's cool.
See what I'm saying? So we have to measure the pattern. So in order for us to get this understanding, we got to go back to the beginning and go through the precepts to get this understanding, to be in order to measure this pattern.
We got precepts.
We get understanding. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 20.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 5. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
So when it says this is the first resurrection, meaning we would live again. Meaning, first resurrection means they're going to be those who are not dead in Christ, who are going to rise spiritually, and the breath of life came upon them, right? Came into these dry bones, and they lived, and they stood upon their feet and became a what? Great exceeding army. When the Lord breathed into Adam's nostrils, he came from the dust, a primitive being, and he became the ruler over all the nations. The dominion he received, Romans 7, was that law. Romans 7 and 1. The law is dominion, have dominion over a man as long as he liveth. So that word breathe, or the breath of life, okay, is correlating to the Most High making his covenant again, or remembering his covenant. The word breath in the Hebrew is bariath, transliterated breathe. Okay, that's where you get the word breathe from. Bariath, breath, breathe. So that's what it means when the Most High breathed into Adam. He made an agreement with Adam that he would choose him and his posterity to rule the planet. So when that comes back around, that's that life when the Most High revives us again on the third day after the 2 days. So the Most High is doing what? Now, he's reminding us of the covenant. He's breathing back into us the spirit of life. We read in Revelation chapter 11. Okay? Let's go to Revelation 20, verse 6. Because there will be the dead in Christ that rise. And we are rising as well. That's the resurrection. First, protos in the Greek is chief. I mean, this is the resurrection everyone was prophesying about. Hosea prophesied about it. Third day, we're going to be revived. Ezekiel prophesied about it. That's that great resurrection. Okay?
This debate going cold.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 6.
Right.
Blessed and holy is he that had part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
So, see, now, this is where a lot of people also get, mistaken. They said, then they shall reign with him 1,000 years, right? So is Christ going to rule 1,000 years, or is he going to reign forever? Let's get that real quick in Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. Let's get this understanding.
I got it.
Got to understand what John was seeing. Okay.
This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people.
That show you that the kingdom is not going to be given to other people. It's going to be split in particular to the children of Israel.
And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
So now when it says, and shall reign with him 1,000 years, this is not saying, oh, the kingdom is only going to be established for 1,000 years. The Lord created man to live 1,000 years. Right? So in the kingdom, it's going to take about 1,000 years for the earth to come back to its primal state. Am I right or wrong? Fact. Let's get that in Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 14 really quick. Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 14. A lot of people don't understand that Christians think that when Christ comes, it's going to be snap of a finger, everything's going to be paradise. No. Captivity is going to be for a long time. Right. For them that swear falsely by the Most High's name, and them that steal are in the house of the thief, the scriptures say. What's the law of if you steal from a man? No, not put to
No,
death.
you don't get put to death. You gotta pay him double.
You gotta pay him double,
Gotta
and
pay
then
him
what?
double.
And then a fifth.
Mm-hmm.
We've been here 400 years. So 400 years plus 400 years, that's double plus a fifth part is what? 1,000 years.
But then what? Then you gotta add Rome.
Right,
Then you gotta add Greece.
right.
Then you gotta add Babylon. It's gonna be a long time,
So
man.
that's a number that the Bible says is 7 months. Because that means completion, right?
Right.
7 moons, right? Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 14. And they shall sever out men of continued. Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 14. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth.
So those that remain upon the face of the earth, this is what John is seeing. He's seeing this judgment take place, and us, after the breath of life is given to us, now we're reigning with Christ for this dispensation of time, while the earth is being transferred into what the Most High wanted it to be in the beginning. Give me that scripture in 2nd Ezra's plain beginning. All right, first. Plain beginning. Barak knows.
Yeah, Barak know where that's at.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 6. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings.
The times of the highest have plain beginnings. So the Most High created everything very plainly in the beginning, right? So what these nations are going to be doing is they're going to be severed out, and they're going to be given work because they're going to be fixing what they broke. That Gulf oil spill, oh, you got to fix that. Oh, the radiation that's all in the air, oh, you got to fix that. What does Scripture say? We're going to be burning up weapons. Everything, all of the weapons that's detrimental to man, civil life on earth is going to be eradicated. All of this the stuff seeping out into the atmosphere, carbon, what's it called? Carbon monoxide, the ozone, like all of that is going to be fixed. Guess who's going to be doing that fixing? They are. All the garbage that's in the sea. It's going to be a long time. So that's why he said they reign with Christ for 1,000 years. That doesn't mean that his kingdom is going to stop right there. It just means that they're going to reign. We're going to reign until once they beat to pieces, once they finish out their captivity. I mean, they're always going to be possessed by us, but they're going to go through a rigorous slavery. That's that Revelation chapter 2, verse 26. We're going to beat the nations to pieces with a rod of iron. Okay? Okay. So go ahead. 39:14.
Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 14. And they shall sever out men of continual employment, passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it.
To what?
To cleanse it.
To what?
To cleanse it.
To cleanse the earth. Go ahead.
After the end of 7 months shall they search.
After the end of 7 months shall they search. 7 months means a completion. Okay? So they're going to fulfill what they are supposed to complete in their work, in their employment. Then they're going to search. That means then they're going to turn to the children of Israel, and they're going to learn the laws of the Lord. Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1. They're going to beat their spears into pruning hooks, into their swords into plowshares, which means you're going to be put to work. Then after that, you're going to learn the ways of the Lord. Now it's going to take some couple whoopings. And that's the scriptures. Back to Revelation chapter 20.
That's the scripture.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison.
So now it's double backing. You got to understand how Revelations is working. It's double backing. When the 1,000 years are expired, he's explaining Satan. He's loosed
For a short season.
When he's loose for that short season, when 1,000 years of Satan being bound is expired, go ahead. He shall be loosed.
Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, verse 8, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea.
So when he got out from the bottomless pit, now we're being revived, and we're rising upon our feet. So when he was bound for 1,000 years, he got Jake under him. His whole intent was to gather Gog, Magog, and those to battle. Remember, we read in Daniel chapter 8 that he would seek to be proud against the prince of princes. So what is Gog? China. Magog? Russia. So that landmass, which we call the Oriental, okay, versus the eastern section of that is split between Europe and that side, which is the Occidental. You got the Oriental and you got the Occidental. So majority of that Oriental and part compartments of the Occidental are going to fight against Christ at his coming.
So Ezekiel 38 and 39.
So this is what he came out to deceive them, to battle Christ. He wanted everybody to come together to form the NATO, United Nations, come together, invent the world police for this outward invasion, and they know what's coming. That's Christ.
That's right.
The white man spearheaded this. The white man spearheaded this along with the other nations behind him. But what's going to happen? Give me 2nd Ezra 12, I think, and 3. I think it's 2nd Ezra 12 and 3. Yeah, 2nd Ezra 12 and 3.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 12 and verse 3. And I saw, and behold, there appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt, so that the earth was in great fear. Then awakened I out of the trouble and trance of my mind, and from great fear, and said unto my spirit, Lo, this hast thou done unto me, in that thou searchest out the ways of the highest.
That's it. So the eagle was given to the burning fire. Satan, i.e., his logo, or through logography, what's it called? Logography? I forgot what it's called. But anyway, I think it's logography. His emblem is the eagle. But his power is going to be given to the fire. But he came out to fight against YHWH and gather all the nations. That's why the scriptures in Obadiah says, he compares him to the eagle. He's made his nest amongst the stars. Okay? But he's going to be given to the fire when YHWH appears with his chariots to consume him. And this is what it's going to get into. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 9. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them.
So that's Ezekiel chapter 38 and verse 39. Okay? They're going to, remember we went last week, that they're going to be warned with each other. Then they're going to turn the battle to him that is coming from the heavens. America's destroyed, by the way. We already know that. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone.
So does that mean that he was thrown into the lake? No. So we understand that that lake of fire and brimstone, remember we went into, primarily is America. But the appearance of the land, they're going to be given to the flame too. That's the sea of a glass mingled with fire that we overcame. Okay? In Revelation 15. That's right. So, yeah, so they were given to the fire too. Go ahead.
Where the beast and the false prophet are.
So the false prophet being America, the beast being the Roman Empire, okay, and all of the world nations. The devil, meaning those who are at the pinnacle of it all, are going to be given to the fire too. Go ahead.
And shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
So that means that they're going to have no kingdoms anymore. They're not going to have no seat of authority anymore. That's what it means. They're going to be tormented. They're going to be given to the fire forever and ever. Christ's kingdom is going to be forever. There's not going to be a Gentile nation ever risen up ever again.
It's not eternal hell.
Right. That the serpent and Edom, and they're not going to be risen up ever again. Period. That's what the scriptures are saying. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them.
So when it says, given a white throne, who was that? Yahushua, because he was given judgment. So when it says the heaven fled away and the earth fled away, that's talking about the classifications of man. The free world, the ruling class, versus all those, even the small and the great. Okay? They all, what is Yahushua going to say in that day? Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. Revelation 22 verse 14 really quick. This is how they fled from him, meaning they were cast away from him.
Revelation chapter 22 and verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life.
Remember we talked about that. That they may have the right, that's that paradise. That is righteous kingdom. To be in peace with God. Go ahead.
That they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city.
The 12 gates, which is the children of Israel's names. Go ahead.
Verse 15.
Here's what I want.
For without are dogs.
Those who were cast off will be considered dogs. You know, just like Esau will say, he's worthy to sit with the dogs of his father's flock. So you could imagine what kind of hell they're going to be going through during this reign of when they will be doing continual employment. Go ahead.
And sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
So they're going to be cast away from the throne. They're going to be cast away. He's going to say, depart from me. I mean, I never knew you. He's going to be putting them into death, and he's going to be putting them into work. You got to realize this is how judgment is going to take place. Some men are going to be brought right before him, are going to be worthy of death. Some people are going to be worthy of captivity. Revelation 13:11 says what? He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. So that's that heaven and earth that fleet away from him. Okay? And I got a debate coming up with that brother Josh from Clubhouse. And he ain't going to be too happy when I go deep into the understanding of this judgment. Okay? It's going to be pretty ugly for him. Sorry. I had to say it because he doesn't understand these scriptures. Okay? Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God.
So when it says I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, what is this talking about? Is this talking about zombies before the throne? Wow. No, it's talking about those who did not have the breath of life. those who did not stand upon their feet, those who did not have the Spirit of God. They were judged, small and great, meaning those who are the lowest of the low, so those who are the highest of the high. Doesn't mean your status don't mean nothing to the Lord. Go ahead.
And the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life.
So there were several books. There was the books that you were judged according to, and then there was the book of life. Malachi chapter 3, verse 16. Understand the book of life. Malachi 3, verse 16.
This is Malachi chapter 3 and verse 16.
It might be, hold on. Micah. Might be Micah. Salaki, give me a second. Yeah. That's Malachi 3:16? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 16. That they that feared the Lord spake often one to another.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong chapter. That's why.
And the Lord hearkened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared the Lord, and that thought upon his name.
So a book of remembrance was written before the Lord for them that feared Yahweh and thought upon his name. That's the book of life. See, a lot of people, when we was growing up, we thought the book of life would be like, all right, George Simpson, all right, are you written? All right, come on.
Here.
He's here, come on, come in. The book of life has your works written in it. Okay? And not only does it have your works written in it, what do you think the Lord, when he says he's going to make you a pillar in his kingdom? He's going to give you a name, a great name. You know how we read about Abraham? Generations of your children that's going to protrude from you. Nations are going to protrude from you, and they're going to read about what you did for the Lord. You're going to be a pillar in God's kingdom. That's a reward. It's going to give you a great name. You're going to be a ruler over a province, and you're going to have children that's going to become a nation, the scripture said. And guess what? You're going to be the pillar of that society. All praise to Mashiach Yahushua. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? Until you're an old man and you deliver up the ghost and the Lord recycles your spirit, you're going to have eternal life and you ain't got to worry about any captivity ever again. But you're going to be rewarded with that. That's how this cycle of the Lord works, man. See what I'm saying? Abraham died, and he was a father of many nations. Abraham's going to come back and see the fruits of his faith. If you on that other side, you're going to see the fruits of your faith and your works. Abraham's going to see his children. Isaac and Jacob are going to see their children. We're going to be able to see our children in the kingdom after the 1,000 years and so on and so on. And guess what? It's going to repeat itself. That's beauty. I mean, we want that. I want that. Right? Go ahead. Back to Revelation chapter 20.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. Verse 13. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it.
So when it says the sea gave up the dead which were in it, let's go to Psalms chapter 68, verse 22.
Psalms chapter 68 and verse 22. The Lord said, I will bring again from Bashan, I will bring my people again from the depths of the sea.
So the sea giving up the dead is talking about, when it says, remember, the dead were delivered up. That's talking about Israel coming back to life. Bashan represents the fertile place, or Bashar, which is fertility or flesh, the valley of dry bones. Sinews came upon them. Flesh came upon their bones, and they rose up. So when it says that we came back from the depths of the sea, it's talking about we came back to life. When they thought that we just wasn't going to be reminded of who we were, what do you do when you want to hide something and no man could be able to seek it out? Like the book, the island of Atlantis, the Lord said in Ezekiel, I think 26 or 27, he said that you're going to be at the depths of the sea, in the land of no longer in the land of the living. And though men seek you, no man shall find you. That's the lost city of Atlantis. But guess what? We're not the lost city of Jerusalem. We found. We're going to come right up out of the depths of the sea. And we're going to realize who we are. So this is what the Bible is speaking of in Revelation chapter 20, verse 13. The sea gave up the dead, meaning the powers of the nations. We only came back to life when they try to cast us into the depths of the sea as if we were to be remembered no more. Read that again, Psalm 68 and 22.
The Lord said, I will bring again from Bashan, I will bring my people again from the depths of the sea, that thy foot may be dipped in the blood of thine enemies, and the tongue of thy dogs in the same.
So we're going to be killing folks. So our foot could be bathed, dance. I love them bloody scriptures. Look, man, our feet gonna be the blood of our enemies. Psalm 58 and 10. That's one of my favorites. Psalm 58 and 10. We're gonna come from out of nowhere and be the judges of the earth, man. That's right. Our feet gonna be dipped in the blood of our enemies. You hear what the scriptures say, man? Where's the love?
Psalms chapter 58, verse 10.
Pops. What's the love?
It's a blood.
It's right here. Psalm 58 and 10. Please bring it out.
Psalm chapter 58 and verse 10. The righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked.
We're going to wash our feet in the blood of the wicked. Wait a minute. Wrong with them other wicked as Gentiles and Jake. I seen a video of Lil Durk today. I just cringe, man. You know Josiah killed his own people, right? Judged his own people. Judged his own people, man. And burned their bones to dust. What the scriptures say. I have a thing for wicked Israelites too, man. I want my brothers to come out of repentance, but these people are desperately wicked. They're sorcerers, man. When you go into even with these brothers dyeing their hair blonde, you know what they're doing, right? You know what that means? I try to tell you, you need to understand the Babylonian school of mysticism, yo. When they dye their hair blonde, that means that they are transferring in from another kingdom into another level of sorcery, which is they are proverbially becoming the child of mischief, Horus, and they become the child of mischief and chaos. Okay, that's what that means. This ain't just a hairstyle; it's a new fad. They doing that because that was an ancient practice, man, in sorcery. Why do you think the Lord got it in His book? Blonde hair is a representation of evil, man. This ain't no game. Revelation chapter 20, back to verse 13. We're going to roll out soon.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works.
So let's go to Revelation chapter 7, verse 1 to understand what's taking place. Revelation 7 and 1.
Revelation chapter 7 and verse 1. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow up, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Oh, Salakia, I got the wrong precept. Salakia. What you looking for? Forgive me. Hold on. Paraphrase it. Salakia, hold on. I think it's Daniel. Hold on. Daniel. Oh, Daniel 7. I said Revelation 7. Daniel 7 and 1 and verse 2.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed, and he wrote the dream and told the sum of matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
So what does it mean the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea? What does the sea have in custody? The children of Israel scattered to the four corners of the earth. The sea representation of what? The Gentilic powers. Right? And it's striving, roaring, right? Israel's revolting in places, man. We got revolutions going on, civil rights movement over here. We got all types of movements in other parts of the world. Apartheid, South Africa. Children of Israel down there too. That's the wind. That's the wind striving upon the sea. What the Most High doing? Stirring up his people. He's not giving the Gentile nations rest. Right? So that's what it's talking about when you go into Revelation chapter 20. And it says, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works, because they got the children of Israel in captivity. So it says death and hell. We understand the rider was death on the pale horse when he went out to seek after the fourth part of the earth, the fourth portion, or the fourth part. When the Most High told the Levites to sacrifice a hin of oil and wine, a hin of flour, or he will always say, leave the fourth part to sacrifice to him. Those were the Israelites that the Lord kept as a remnant. That's why I said, hurt not the corn or the oil, the corn or the wine, the fourth of hin. Okay? That's what the scriptures is talking about. And then he told Abraham that your children are going to be in what? Slavery for 400 years. And then in the fourth generation, they're going to turn, which represents the fourth part of Jacob. So the death angel on the pale horse and hell that followed after it were delivered up, which were in them. Okay, because they are operating also in the sea. But they were delivered up because what we're going to do, take them captives, whose captives we were. That's right. And we're going to what? Judge them according to their works. As we're trying to get up out of that yoke that Esau got us under and the Gentiles got us under, when we finally get our hands on them, when YHWH gives us that power, we're going to judge them according to their works. That's what the scripture is talking about. Okay? Verse 14.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 14. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death.
We know what the second death is. That's the judgment of fire, the bombs, the nukes. Okay? Second coming of the Lord. Right? Armageddon. Okay? That's what the scripture is talking about. They were cast, meaning, we keep talking about this all the time, meaning that's what they were allotted to. Those who were on the right hand received the rewards of the kingdom. Those who were on the left hand were judged according to their works in the books that were open. That was not the book of life. They were not written in the book of life before the foundations of the earth, before the Lamb was slain. Right? Verse 15.
Verse 15. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
They were given to the fire. Man. The scripture's talking about. So we're gonna end it right there. If y'all got questions, y'all need more clarity, it's not too late. We ended at a perfect time. Those, if you got questions on the YouTube, on the Zoom, ask questions. All right, any questions, comments?
I love the history behind this entire chapter.
Right.
I just got one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
We went into
We're giving the mic. So
So we went into the serpent earlier.
Right.
And I was just questioning whether or not that's related to the dragon and the 10 horns we talked about the other day. 10 horns being, Belgian, France, Netherlands, and so on and so forth.
Right.
I just want more clarity on that. Is that like, is there a correlation or?
there definitely is a correlation with the serpent and the dragon. When you go into the scriptures, right? Let's go real quick. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11 and let's say Isaiah 14 and 29. Salakia. All right.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 29. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken.
Now, when it says, rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, who's in the land right now? Who's in that land? Amalek, right? Go ahead.
For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent.
So when it says, for out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, right? And his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. That fiery flying serpent is in representation of the dragon. But see, the dragon, it represents power. Okay? So from the beginning of the garden, that's the serpent's root. Where was the serpent's roots? In the garden. So today you see that by way of knowledge of good and evil, he's a fiery flying serpent. Now we don't see a dragon flying over the earth breathing fire. But what power does he have? He has power to what? Draw fire from heaven. Bombs dropping, things of that nature. So through the midst of the 10 horns and the dragon giving the beast power, that's all that knowledge that he had. Give me Psalm 76 verse 10 really quick. Psalm 76 verse 10.
Psalms chapter 76 and verse 10. Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee.
Surely the wrath of man shall praise thee. Meaning, what we're seeing right now is the wrath of man. Man is getting ready to destroy himself. Mark 13 and 30 says, the Lord didn't come any sooner, no flesh will be saved. Right? Because man has come to a pinnacle and come to a certain point where we're going to destroy ourselves off the planet. Go ahead.
The remainder of wrath shalt thou restrain.
But the remainder of wrath, the Lord is going to restrain. Meaning the Lord is not going to allow mankind to destroy himself entirely. So what we see in that remainder of wrath is the remnant of people that's left on the planet after this nuclear fallout, after this space invasion. And guess what? After the Lord judges, the Lord's going to restrain that wrath, and it's going to be a period where we rule, okay? And they're going to be in captivity, and eventually they're going to turn and be under us and subject to the law, statutes, and commandments. So that's the representation of the dragon. See what I'm saying? That's the power of the dragon, but the power of the dragon is going to be diminished. Ain't going to be no draconian laws, and ain't going to be none of that. Ain't going to be nothing that's rooted from his lie from the beginning. Everything that maketh a lie is going to be cast out. Everything going to be punished and brought back unto subjection. Praise.
He said, Revelation 20 and 12, are the heathens being judged or Israel?
Revelation 20 and 12. Read it.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works.
So the heathen and Israel. Go to Matthew 19, 28. Okay? Matthew 19, 28. Okay, that includes Israel too.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 28.
Mm-hmm.
And Christ said, and YHWH said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel.
So we got to think, one thing we got to remember is Israel is going to be the first people that he's going to judge. Well, I'm Israel. Guess what? To whom much is given, much is required. He that knew of his master's will shall be beat with many stripes. That's definitely Israel being judged. Lord, I cast out devils in your name. I preached in your name. Oh, who's that? Israel. Depart from me. I never knew you, you worker of iniquity. You as well could be cast out. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 32. Deuteronomy 32, verse 36.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 36. For the Lord shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants when he seeth that their power is gone and there is none shut up or left.
So at the point where we have no power, right, the Lord at his return is going to judge Israel. Okay? He's going to judge his people according to prophecy. Right? Now let's go to, let me see, Psalms 98 verse 9. Psalms 98 verse 9.
This is Psalm chapter 98 and verse 9. Before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world, and the people with equity.
So the Lord is going to bring everything to a proper balance. Okay? The Lord is going to definitely judge the heathen. Clearly. But he's going to judge them according to their righteousness. I'm going to get that scripture real quick. But primarily, Israel is going to be the main people he's going to be judging. The people that were given the law, statutes, and commandments, why wouldn't he judge them?
And the house of the Lord is going to be judged first.
Right. The scriptures tell you that the judgment of the Lord begins at the house of the Lord. Right? Psalms 96 verse 13 is a better precept.
Psalm chapter 96 and verse 13. Before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth.
Now the earth in its entirety is going to be judged. Okay? Go ahead.
He shall judge the world with righteousness and the people with his truth.
Wait. Where you at? Oh yeah. So it says he shall judge the world with righteousness. So when it says he shall judge the world with righteousness, that means you have Amos, right? The Lord shows you the crimes of Amos, the third or fourth for 3 transgressions, even for 4, the scriptures say. For Moab, for 3 transgressions, even for 4. For Ammon, 3 transgressions, even for 4. Canaan been judged since the beginning. The Lord cursed Canaan through Noah. He's forever cursed, right? You have nations that are under the curse because of how they dealt with God's people. You got nations to this day that the Lord say, because you did this concerning my people in the wilderness, Amalek, you got to be judged eternally. Like you're finished. See what I'm saying? So he's going to judge the world according to their righteousness. And then it says in Psalms 96, verse 13, and the people, who's the people? Israel, with his truth, meaning his law. Okay? So Israel is going to be judged with the Most High God's laws. Okay? Did that answer your question, brother? Oh, Hebrews 10 and 30. Another good one.
This is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 30. For we know him that hath said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people.
So he's going to decipher what reward we receive. Rewarded for our evils or rewarded for our good. The Lord going to judge Israel. He said to the disciples, you're going to be judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So if you're an Israelite, as much as we love that fact,
We got more of a responsibility.
we got more of a responsibility than we can imagine. So we're going to be judged first. Okay? We're going to be judged first. When I mean first, I mean chiefly. The heathen going into captivity. They ain't receiving no kingdom. Because the scriptures say that the kingdom is not going to be given to other people. In Daniel 2 and 44. But we are going to go under that severe judgment. If we're given the iron rod, we're worthy. But some Israelites are not going to be. And I'm talking about the church. Us that are professing the name of YHWH are going to be judged. Myself included. All the brothers out there on the videos and the YouTube and the fringes, you're going to be judged. The Lord going to try your heart. The Lord going to see if you was real or you was fake. Give me Job 7 and 1 real quick, and we're going to close there if there's any more questions, right? The Lord knows who's really doing this and who's really just trying to get money. I want to promote this. I want a name. I want this and that. The Lord's going to know all of it. If you're doing this for real or you're doing this for fake. Job 7 and 1.
Job chapter 7 and verse 1. Is there not an appointed time to man upon the earth? Are not his days also like the days of an hireling?
So you were sent in this earth to do work. We know that. Your days are the days of an hireling. That means you're here, the Lord put you here to do a service to him, right? Now let's read verse 2.
Verse 2. As a servant earnestly desired the shadow.
So a servant, a true servant of the Lord, he desires a shadow. You know what that means? You go in the field and you work hard because you're working so hard for the man who hired you, for the Lord who gave you this assignment. You're working hard because you're just toiling to do a good job for your employer, for your master, right? You desire a shade at the end of your day, meaning you just want to be like, you sitting under the shade and you resting under that shade because you did a good job and worked hard. But let's see the second half of that scripture.
And as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work.
So a hireling, somebody just look at being an Israelite, doing the work. They look at the money. They look at the glory of it all. They're looking for a reward at the end. They're not really looking for when the Lord said he created everything and he rested and he said everything's good. We just want to see that this world is resting again. We don't want all of the rewards. I want the gold. I want the silver. I want the platinum. I want the crown. I want all of that. Right? That's a bonus. But do you really want the Lord's rest?
I just want to sleep.
Right. I want the Lord's rest. Hebrews tell you that we're going to enter into that rest again. We're working to enter into rest. We just want to rest. We tired, man. All of us are tired of the bills. We're tired of the arguments over nothing with our women and with our spouses. We're tired of our children not having what they need. We're tired of this COVID bull crap. We're tired of everything that is being pushed on us. We just want rest. Some people, they're hirelings and they just want reward. So you got to be careful. Do you want reward or do you want to enter into the Lord's rest? Do you really want peace with your God? Do you want to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant? That's what this is all about. About doing the business of the Lord. Christ said, woman, don't you know about my Father's business? How you say that to your mom? My mama said, boy, the hell? Who the hell you?
Who,
Should
Joseph?
have grabbed my ear out that damn synagogue. What? Bring your head in there, boy. My mom used to scream too loud. I was like, shut your damn off the nervous, go hear this. My mom would have jacked me up. Yahushua said that to his mother. His passion was that he was to die for his people. That's right. That's his passion. He knew his purpose. Yahushua didn't come down here to Ireland. He wanted to really see his people rest. See what I'm saying? So we got to have that same mind. You know? So we're going to close out. All right, everybody in the Zoom, everybody in the YouTube. Y'all Yasharahla.
Go check out GABARYAM's very own Panah. Subscribe to Panah Productions on YouTube right now. Go stream his album Thou Art on all digital platforms, including SoundCloud. Bump that F the world, stubborn, juice, when we dance and more. Look out for his upcoming album, a genre called Life. Also, go check out the young Lord, Quon Salvatore, with his latest album release, Story of a Soldier. And hailing from Rum, Florida, Ganan Yasharahla. Go stream his latest music video, Save Me, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. And last but definitely not least, subscribe to the MALAK's channel, hailing from Kansas City, for hot truth music videos inspired by his intellectual visuals. All links at the bottom. Shalom.